Let me run for him.
You sure?
And Taylor is going to send in Hayes to run.
Thanks, Jim.
Went to see his movie, but it was only out for 2.5 hours. I was told, however, that it was in focus. Hayes getting his lead. Canatella checks him. And Hayes is going. Here's the throw. He slides. He's safe.
Yes!
So Hayes steals second. Glad to see he remembered where it was. Hayes out to a good lead at second. Canatella comes second. Pickoff play. Hayes takes off. He's going for third. He's in there. Hayes is beginning to look like the player of old, and the Indians have something going here. Canatella up on the rubber again as Hayes gets a walking lead. Canatella winds. Hayes is going to steal home. He's safe. So Hayes has stolen 3 in a row to tie the game.
I love that scene. So today we're talking about getting out of a funk. Whenever I'm in a funk, I don't know why, but I find myself watching that scene, and it just helps lift my spirits up. Anyway, at times in your life, you're going to find yourselves just unmotivated, right? Like you feel like you're at a standstill in life, like you're not moving, right? You're not going forward or backwards necessarily. You're just kind of, like unmotivated, right? Where you don't want to do anything. You don't know what to do. You're just kind of stuck. And many times this comes after a significant change in your life. It might be after a breakup, which is very common, right? You kind of get into a funk after, say, a chick dumps you and you're down in the dumps. Or it might be after the loss of a family member, or in my case, an animal. I went through a funk recently after I lost Cash. And I was just not motivated, and it was really sad because I felt like I was doing some really great work and we were moving, before he started to get ill, like a month before. I felt like things were going great, and I didn't expect that to happen. And then when it did, it just put me into a loop, and I didn't want to do anything after that. I didn't want to do anything, so it put me in a funk, and I'm still slowly trying to get, my head back into the right place, and often, I had to finish a couple of private boot camps that I had promised before all this happened, and I had to complete those, and so, my head not being there, then all of a sudden being in this crazy environment where there's lots of women and, music and, AMOGs and AFCs and wannabe PUAs and I'm trying to help this guy cold approach women. I mean, it's like, it's almost surreal, right? It's just, I can't explain it, but still kind of in a funk, and I'm still trying to work my way out of it. But the key to it, because I've been in these funks before, is to take baby steps, right? To allow yourself the time, right? I mean, especially if you have the luxury of that, then by all means, right? Just allow yourself the patience to get back into gear, because last thing you want to do is force yourself back on the horse when you're not ready, right? This is why I always tell guys that, after a breakup, the worst thing that you can do is go to a club. I mean, remember that back in the day where you get dumped by your girl, and then your buddies try to get you to go to a club like that, right? And you're just there, and it's worse because now you're getting rejected by women who are not half as good looking as the last girl who dumped you, right? It just makes you feel worse, and you feel out of place, right? You feel like, why am I here, right? I mean, when you're going through a funk, you question yourself a lot, right? You kind of lose your swag. That is a common thing that happens. I definitely lost a bit of my swag after Cash passed away. And really after any after my last breakup, right? Like my last hard breakup in 2006, I lost my swag and I was in a funk. I was in a funk for a bit. But once you start to work your way out of it, things slowly start to go your way, right? I know Jimmy Johnson, famous former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, right? He took them from the worst team in football to Super Bowl champions within 4 years. And he would always talk about, like winning football games. He said, like, when things aren't going your way and, say you're down by like 3 touchdowns and it's early in the game, what you need are momentum changers, right? So he would call them momentum changers. And I've heard that term often used in, when it comes to competition and sports. And I apply that to my own life, right? I just look for these momentum changers to just, and it doesn't have to be anything dramatic or, that like just spins everything around, where you do a complete 180 and everything's good all of a sudden. I mean, that could happen, but most times it doesn't. Life just doesn't work that way. It works like that in movies, right? Because they only have 2 hours to tell a story. But in real life, in reality, no, you kind of get these little bones every now and then that you can, chew on to slowly turn things in your favor. So I look for these momentum changers, and I've had a few come my way the last few months that are slowly getting me out of my funk, right? But it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen without you applying some sort of effort, right? You can't just sit there. You have to take some sort of coercive action, right? And put some evolutionary pressure on yourself to do things and to get things done, even if it's hard, all right? Even if it's hard, right? Say you're going through a breakup. Man, that's hard, right? Or your wife just divorced you. She's taking the kids. You're in a pretty big funk, right? You got yourself in a pickle. That's not easy, man. And I feel for you, and I've been there, right? Maybe not with the ex-wife and kids who tried to take everything, but obviously with a hard breakup and, just trying to get myself back out there. And you go through, just basically trying to get yourself back on your feet. Okay. And that's just the way I look at it is just part of the human experience, right? That is just life as we know it. Life is just not perfect. It's beautiful. It's just not perfect. Right. And it's really about the way you handle these things, and the more you go through these periods in your life when you're in a funk, the more perspective you have and skill really you develop to pull yourself out, right? Like, this is why I know, like, the funk I'm going through right now, I mean, it's just something I need to go through, and it's just, you try to get by anyway. You try to do your job. You try to work. In my case, I got to do cold approach. I mean, talking to women, believe it or not, like, talking to women is the last thing I want to do right now. I just want to hang out with Gizmo. I just want to go get food. But I have to force myself to do it, man. I have to force myself to eat clean. I have to force myself to work. And I have to force myself to do my job, and I just, everything's attitude as well, right? Because I don't want to show up, with a student who's paying me a lot of money and have this downer attitude, right? Because I want to provide value. Even doing these coaching videos, right? I have to get my mind in the right mindset so that I deliver the most value I possibly can, regardless of the state I'm in, right? And unfortunately, that's just part of being a man, right? That is just what we deal with and what we just have to, suck it up and, man up and just gut it out, right? And just push ourselves through. When I played ball, there were times where I was hurt and I had to play. And I mean, it's almost like that physical pain was easier to deal with than like the emotional pain. So in any case, if you're in a funk right now, again, don't do what most people do, where they look for miracles or they turn to God, like, please guide me out of this. Yeah, sure, you could lean on God or, in prayer. Also, another thing that helps is to be grateful. I know it's very simplistic, but it does help, man, to just think of the things that you do have, right? The things that, that are going right in your life, and the fact that you have your health, the fact that, you're you know, not in crutches or something. You know, you're not in any sort of like, yeah, you're not handicapped or anything, right? At least I hope not. So there's always something to be thankful for. So that does help as well. But the secret is to just take these baby steps to get out of it and watch clips like this from Major League Baseball Part 2. I don't know why I remember when I saw that movie, it was like 94. I saw it in the movie theater. And that scene just stuck with me, right? Because they were in a funk. The team was in a funk. And they were like in a losing streak. They thought they were starting off the season great, right? Which they did start off the season great. Everybody was just hyped to be back. And then things went south very quickly. And now they're all in this funk. They're not getting along. And suddenly all it takes is one momentum changer, right? Where the clip I showed you, Willie Mays Hayes decides to get his ass back in gear and stop being a prima donna and start doing what he's best at, which is stealing bases, right? And I kind of feel like that with pickup in game. It's like I just put myself out there, take those baby steps, right? You know, and do a cold approach, and it just all of a sudden it just comes right back, you know, and you start to feel like yourself again, at least for that moment. Yeah. So in any case, guys, I hope this coaching video tonight added value to your lives. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support my work, get into my premium Alpha Male Secrets program below. Just click that link. It's only $1 for the entire first month. And I will see you in my next coaching video. I'm out.